Yeah, hi there, Haytham. This is Michael. I am the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons. I just read your integrated writing practice number 16. Now, let me talk about that a little bit. So, you're having some sentence formation issues. For example, you're putting two sentences together with a comma. That results in what's called a comma splice. You're also having some word choice problems, and there's some inaccuracy with some of the information from the lecture that you're putting in there. And this goes to your question. So you have a pretty good question here, and I figured I would probably answer it by YouTube because it's a little too complicated to answer in an email. So you say, I'm facing a problem for months that while I listen to the speaking part, I can't take notes perfectly, and while I write, I also cannot grasp the major points. Is there a specific tip to tackle it? I don't know if there's something specific that can help you with it, but it's kind of like you're trying to do two things at the same time, which is not easy, which means you're focusing on your listening and you're trying to listen, especially in the speaking. For example, speaking task number 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're trying to either read and listen, and then you need to take down those notes. You know you have to because you need to be able to organize that in terms of your response. If you can't catch the main points and write those down, once it says begin speaking, you're not going to be able to do that. So one of the tips I can give you here is this. Let's say here's a piece of paper here. Let's talk about the integrated speaking task number 3 and number 4 and even number 6. But with the speaking task where you have to read and listen, what you're going to do is draw a line down the middle of the paper, kind of like that. And then you'll put the reading on the left side, you'll put the listening on the other, and as soon as you begin reading the passage, you want to write down the main point. So you'll put the main point here in the reading, and then you'll put maybe 2 key points from the reading or 3 key points from the reading below it. You want to do the same thing with the listening. So sometimes if you set up your notes like that, it might be easier for you to listen and separate out the information as opposed to putting it all together. You know, with the reading and the listening together, then it's going to be difficult for you to separate out this information. And more importantly, it'll make it harder for you to see what the relationship is with the listening to the reading. For example, does the listening disagree? Is it adding to information that you read? You know, exactly what is that relationship? So that would be maybe one tip. But there could be even a bigger problem going on here, Haytham, is a lot of students who have trouble getting down the main points from a lecture, they also have a lot of vocabulary problems. Their vocabulary is just not strong enough, so when they hear the lecture and they're hearing the information, they don't recognize what those words are. So if they don't know what they are, then how can they write down those words or synonyms of those words? So it's also important to really build your vocabulary. You want to try to increase your vocabulary. That's why in the first section of my course, the vocabulary course, that's step number 1 in my 7-step system. Because I know and you know that if you build your vocabulary and it becomes much more expansive, it'll be much easier for you to listen to lectures, to read passages, your writing and your speaking will be much better, and so on and so forth. So obviously improving your vocabulary is important. And even practice, I mean, you want to take time each day, maybe about 45 minutes a day, Haytham, this is also important, is listen to news programs, history programs, even science programs. What you can do there even is maybe record 5 minutes of a discovery program or 10 minutes of it. And as you're listening to it, take down some notes, right? And then, of course, replay the show again so you can check your notes for completeness and for accuracy and make sure you haven't left out anything. And then once you're done with that and you do have good notes, then practice orally summarizing the information that you just listened to. And that would help you with your integrated speaking. Now, if you want to practice your integrated writing, you could do the same thing, except instead of orally summarizing it, you could write a summary of what it is that you just read. And that would help practice some of your integrated writing skills. So I think Haytham, a combination of practice, I think building your vocabulary and spending time extensively listening to different kinds of materials like science and history and news type materials, listening materials, that's going to be important, right? So those would be some of my suggestions. Now in my online course, I think you might want to review reading lesson number 1 and listening lesson number 1. Both of those lessons focus a lot on note-taking and how to note-take. And you might get some good ideas from those 2 lessons to help you organize your ideas either for the speaking or the writing or the reading or the listening parts of the TOEFL exam. All right?